What's up, everybody? First off, I know that I look like I'm off the movie Trolls. My little cousins let me know that fact quite often. So, just thought I'd get that out of the way. Anyways, this video is regarding nationalism and how I myself identify with the nation in which I was raised. I would compare my relationship to my nation as if it was somehow the relationship I had with my father, right? When I look at what actually makes up a nation, I mean, it has its history, right? Something without a history isn't something which is prominent in the present. So a nation must have a history. And when I look at the history of the nation in which I was raised, I myself don't necessarily identify fully with it. And so that being said, I myself don't necessarily identify with the nation in which I reside. So how is it that I actually relate to the nation? Well, like I said previously, I relate to it in the way that I might relate to my father. We're related, but I'm not my father, right? It's like I have a sense of emotional pride for what my father has done, and, possibly things that he hasn't shared with me that, he has done as well, which may not necessarily be the most pleasing things to look at in the light. But at the end of the day, when, I see my father, I have a connection with it, an emotional response, something of pride and of respect. But at the same point in time, I myself don't want to identify with my father because in so many ways, we're not the same individual at all. Even though, genetically and whatnot, and my upbringing kind of identifies me to be very similar to him in regards to my similarity with everybody else. That's kind of how I would describe my relationship with, my country of origin, the United States of America. There's a lot of things interspersed within the history of America that I myself had no part in. I myself had no part to play in or no part of, to speak in regards to what was being done. So why would I myself identify with this thing? In that, I wasn't necessarily a part of its upbringing, its history. So why would I identify with the history of something which is beyond me, before me, beyond my control? But at the same point in time, I have this sense of utmost respect for it. But I can't help but fight against it to try and make a name for myself. Just like anybody who, has the same relationship with their father. You're always trying to make a name for yourself. Your father may be a great individual, or they may not be, And in either case, you're most likely going to be trying to create a name for yourself. You're not going to want to live in your father's shadow, whether it is something which allows many things to prosper and grow in, or whether it causes death and destruction. It's a shadow which clouds out all the light so nothing can grow as far as the eye can see, or it's a shadow which gives shade from the heat of the blazing sun in the midday. Whether or not, either of those cases, you still probably want to try and build a home yourself which creates a shadow which reflects your image. And so that's how I myself would describe my relationship with the country, my sense of national pride. In a lot of these posts, I go really counterculture. And it's almost as if YouTube and other forms of social media are my way of expressing some anger and frustration. And what people have to realize is that what you're seeing is a very, very tiny percentage of my life, everything that I've said. It just seems to be that in a lot of, ways, I express myself in this way, in these formats. It's just like in the whole political scene that we see today, where, you see a clip describing 5 seconds of what somebody said, and then all of a sudden everybody jumps to conclusions about who this person is. Well, go figure, there was a 45-minute speech surrounding these words, and maybe they misspoke. Maybe they had some emotional response to something they experienced earlier. We don't know the whole set of circumstances, but then the news and the media and everybody all of a sudden spins it to show you, them in the light in which they want you to see them. And what we don't see is the agenda of these people spinning the light of other people. And, so when you're watching me talk about things, when you're watching me say things, really I am probably one of the most respectful people that I know in real life in regards to everybody, in regards to everybody's position. I've traveled the world quite extensively. I've never had an incident with any other individual. I've never even been in a fight in my life. I've never been in trouble in, ghetto areas or high class areas. Whether this is in Mexico, in the Caribbean, in Canada, or anywhere in the United States, and, a suburb, a city, or, the back streets, the back roads, or what have you. Generally treat people nice and they're going to treat you nice back. But, for some reason, it's almost as if you get a free pass on speaking your mind through social media. And sometimes things rub me the wrong way, and all of a sudden I have this intense emotional response to the world. And I want to share that emotional response in a safe way. I can't necessarily go out and hold up a megaphone on the corner. I could, but it's not as effective as holding up my megaphone to the internet. And so that's what I do. And I kind of, get out my frustration, get out my anger and everything like that, and probably say some things that I shouldn't, probably post some things that I shouldn't, in the heat of the moment, so to speak. But I'm kind of glad that I do, because, if I didn't have such an emotional response and I wasn't so antagonized or agitated by the heat of the moment, then I probably wouldn't have done anything at all, and I probably would have no content at all on YouTube or any other form of social media. So in a way, we kind of have to thank our antagonizers and the adversity, because it's what promotes us to actually speak up and to stand up. We couldn't stand if there wasn't gravity. So thank gravity for pushing you down. So that being said, I myself really like to kind of break down the borders of nationalism, national pride, and I like to be something which is international. And to do that, I have to really kind of disregard any sort of boundary or anything which adheres to only these people can associate with these things. So how can I myself associate with everybody else? How can I myself identify with everybody else? That's what I myself am going to focus on. That's what I myself am going to carry around. And that's what I myself am going to believe in and act upon as well. Because in doing so, I'm going to be able to connect with a much wider range of individuals than if I was only to associate myself with things which were of a restrictive process.